And Cam, it is Wiggy, Fitzy, and Mutt this morning. How are you?
Man, phenomenal. How are you?
At 6:40 in the morning, you're phenomenal. So safe to say you're a morning guy then. Were you okay getting up this early to talk with us?
No, I say I'm a functional morning person. But usually people who know me know. I don't usually like talking, but I'll make some exceptions, and you're one of those exceptions.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, and you've been the talk of the town for a couple weeks now in New England, as you probably know, and we want to talk to you about a bunch of stuff. But like, I can't imagine you're in a place for 9 years like you were in Carolina, and you switch jobs and you come here to New England. Have you had that moment yet, Cam, where you're like, this is not Carolina, this is not the Panthers?
Man, honestly, it has been so overwhelming at times that I just haven't been able to really, grasp it, just from a whole totality standpoint. I was in Carolina. I've given everything to that organization that I possibly can. And, I will always have a place in my heart for Carolina. But as a professional, you go where you're summoned to go and what's best for your career, just as it will be what's best for the organization. And like I said, I've just been loving myself and loving this opportunity that I've had, coming into this position. And I'm just trying to make the most of it.
All right, you just said the spot best for your career, Cam. Take us back. What made this the best spot for you, the fit here in New England?
Man, I didn't know what to expect, and I'm just being as honest as I possibly can, as I know you guys want to hear. I didn't know what to expect, just as the same questions that a lot of people in talk shows and, gossip talk, barbershop talk, chitter-chatter, text messages, they wanted to know. I wanted to know as well. I wanted to know, is it real what they say about Belichick? Is it going to be too, I didn't know. And I think it's honestly been a match made in heaven for me, just knowing that, I'm at a place where everything is pulling in the same direction and everything is geared towards winning. And, coming from a person that has won in all levels, I feel as if that, if I do the things in the right way, trusting, confiding in the same people that, has gotten me to this point and, trusting coaching, I think this is something that, when you look at an opportunity in a timely manner, it could be accomplished.
Cam, one of the big takeaways on that Victor Cruz podcast you appeared on a few weeks back, both for the media and for fans alike, was when you asked, how are you and Belichick going to mesh? So suffice to say so far that this has been a good connection and you guys have meshed well. And I wanted to know, were there any preconceived notions that you had about Bill? Was he always grumpy? Was he really hard on you? Have they come true, or has he surpassed or changed any expectations you may have had?
I think every type of stereotype that I had about Coach Belichick changed the day I talked to him. And, you look at the lineage of players that he's had over the years, obviously the Bradys, the Randy Mosses, the Corey Dillons, the Lawrence Taylors, and just the list goes on, Teddy Bruschi's. It's no wonder why he's sustained success over the years. And when I named those players, those are just a small smorgasbord of different types of guys, cultures, personas, and everything alike. So if he was able to accomplish those things with those players, it made a lot of sense. The time that when I spoke to him, and obviously meeting him face to face, it removed any type of doubt if I even had any. And it's just exciting to play for a person like that.
Cam, one of the biggest questions that were out there, and, we kind of touched on it a little bit, was your relationship with Bill Belichick, right? And the narrative out there was, can he work with Bill? And one thing that we've known, or we've come to know about you, is that everybody talks about how hard of a worker you are. And being in that locker room before, I know that Bill only cares about guys who work their ass off and they go out there and put in the work every single day. So why do you think there was this narrative that things might be hard for you guys to work when you're kind of like one of those guys that Bill likes, and is a guy who just works his tail off?
Honestly, we're going honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a black athlete, a quarterback that for a long time I've been unapologetic, is because I have, carried myself in a way that the media hasn't gave me my just due. But yet at the same time, I do understand that, and I don't have no type of resentment towards that. I embrace who I am. I embrace the moment. I live in the moment. One of the quotes that I live by is carpe diem. And, throughout it all, I've been able to see an opportunity. And, I went down a list of things that I expect from Bill Belichick, just like Bill Belichick went down a list of things that he wants from Cam Newton. So I think the narrative coming here was kind of stereotypical to an unjust eye, just to see, like, well, we've heard this about Cam. We've heard that he's a prima donna. He's this and that. But, when you really put a microscope to who I really am, it's a lot of people, a lot of favoritism that has not been favorable for my benefit. But, through it all, I'm not going to make this about me. I want to make this about, obviously this team and just trying to gain these guys' trust, because I think that's the biggest thing that I have. I had the biggest challenge with doing, letting these guys understand, like, listen, man, I know it's been a lot that's there. I understand. I can feel, the eyes and the attention that's on me as soon as I walk in the facility. But at the end of the day, you guys got to know a lot of that is BS, and I'm here to remove all doubt.
Now, why do you think that is? I played with a guy very similar to you, Dante Culpepper, who just loved playing the game, always had a smile on his face, right? Was out there, loved to, just kind of show his emotions, dance, just had that swagger. Why is it that you think there is this view of you because, the way that you like to go out there and just live life versus, people look at you like you are a diva. Like, why do you believe they think that? Is it just because you're a black quarterback and the struggle has been harder for you?
I'll say this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but right. I will say this. When I came into this NFL, I believe it was Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb were the only two active black quarterbacks. And there was an image that you had to look like, you had to act a certain type of way in order to play the position, right? And, I've come off the backs of the Randall Cunninghams, the Donovan McNabbs, the Dante Culpeppers, the Vince Youngs, it's just a lineage of African-American athletic quarterbacks that came before me that I want to do right by. And now when you look at the league, you see, Russell Wilson, myself, Lamar Jackson, Robert Griffin III, the list goes on, Murray, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, so I think the league is in a place where, we have accepted that change of, not saying that it's right or wrong or indifferent, it's just different, coming up where, if you wasn't Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Drew Brees, you was going to be a failure. You know what I'm saying? And those guys are all great, obviously, with their careers, but there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And I do believe that, for me, when I came into this league, it was almost expected for you to act a certain way, talk a certain way, prepare a certain type of way, practice a certain type of way, play the game a certain type of way. And then for me now to see where the league is at now, it makes me smile because there's many different ways you can win football games, and you can do it either by throwing or by running.
Cam Newton joining us here on the Harbor One Hotline. I guess I've heard the term from players who have played here, Cam, the Patriot way. I'm sure you heard it in Carolina. It's talked about all the time. Have you seen bits and pieces of that Patriot way, and does it mean anything to you yet, the way that the organization carries themselves?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it. And I think that's a swagger in itself. You know what I'm saying? For people to kind of, walk around and say, like, that's the Patriots way. So I think we all have our own swaggers in our own ways, and some people do it more subtle than others. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, having that chip and having that edge in life, not just in the organization. It's in life. And, for me, the day I stepped foot here, I realized a lot of things are different. And not saying where I was bad or good. It's just the expectation is different. The way, from eating, from dieting, to nutrition, to training, to preparing, to practicing, to, rehabilitation, just everything. So, yeah, I mean, every team has their own little niche, and it's up to the players to keep up with the wave. So, I do believe there's a such thing is called the Patriot way, and it may be kind of against the current to some odds, but, like a old coach used to tell me, there's no hill for a climber. And, I have my eyes set on this opportunity, and like I said, it's nothing that has been overwhelming, that's not capable of being attained. So you just got to get it done.
Is there an added pressure coming to an organization that has won so much in the NFL, Cam, and replacing a guy in Tom Brady who's considered one of the best of all time?
No, sir. No, sir. And, I think the world of Tom, and just now having a not more say of a per se of a bird's eye view, but really knowing the people who really knew him on a day-to-day basis and how they speak so highly of him, and just understanding the greatness that you hear of a person like that, and for you to ratify that and hear more things, it's just great to number one hear. But as far as pressure, no, sir. I think the preparation that's put forth and where I have been in my career, the dark moments, the low moments, and obviously the high moments has prepared me for this moment.
Talking to Patriots quarterback Cam Newton on the Harbor One Hotline here on a Patriots Monday with Mutt, Wiggy, and Fitzy. Cam, so new teammates like Julian Edelman, a.k.a. Batman to your Superman, have described you as a specimen as well as a high-energy guy, as have other guys like Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater. Where does all that energy come from? And when you set a precedent like that, like always being a big voice and a high-energy guy, is that a tough precedent and standard to always maintain, being that much of a leader, being that vocal?
It's not that much pressure if it's you. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the other thing too. Like, a lot of people kind of see me as a person that's disingenuous or something that I may do it for certain reasons. Listen, I've been on record to say it is what it is when it comes to me. I live a life where I only have to kind of come to grips with my maker, and if you don't understand that or you don't like that, it is what it is. I see guys like Julian and looking at him, and for a lot, I could say I've never had a receiver like that outside of like Steve Smith, a person who was a veteran and understood what it took. Everybody else was pretty much a young guy that came in and that you had to mold and shape. So yeah, I love life. I love being a part of something that could potentially be astronomical. And every sense of the word, every sense of the day, I just want to bring the best out of myself and obviously hold myself to a standard that I want people to hold me as well.
Cam, one of the biggest things that a lot of players have to get used to playing for Belichick is, and I know it's I don't know if you guys have seen much of it or if you've seen much of it, is kind of the Monday morning meeting where after a 20-point victory or a 28-point victory, Bill comes in with 25, 30 plays, and he highlights them, and he kind of goes around and he can kind of embarrass people at times. I don't know if you've gotten to see that from Bill Belichick, and if so, has that been different for you from maybe being, obviously being in Carolina where things probably were done differently?
I've seen it. And, it's just different coaching styles. And I'm not going to labor on, things that's in the past. But, one thing about Bill Belichick that a lot of people know is he calls it how he sees it.
Right.
And if you had a bad practice, I mean, you already know what's coming. And if you had a bad performance, you already know what's coming. So I think a lot of people need to know that I grew up in a household where that's where a person that raised me was. My father was like that. And so when you look at a person like, Bill, and some people get intimidated of it, I don't by no means. I was raised by a person that held me to a standard that, expect certain things to be ran a certain type of way, and if you didn't do it, you're going to hear about it. So, yet through it all, you've heard stories, but obviously you've seen it validated in meetings, and it's one thing he expects from each and every player is just to respond from it. So I think that's the only thing that you can pretty much expect from your coach.
Cam, what was your reaction to being named a captain last week?
Oh man, I just like this news that has transpired over the last week or so, man. It's just been gratifying, because it kind of reminds you that there's a lot of means to the madness. I mean, when I go back and think about those 86 days and nights where I was unemployed and a free agent, and I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, or Jesus, like, nobody wants to come get, like what am I missing? And, to come to an opportunity where it in my eyes, feels like the best opportunity for me, and if everything is equal, it just puts a lot of things in perspective. And from a person who comes from a willingness to always get better, a person that comes from a willingness to see something and want to be a part of something great. When I was named captain and even a starter for that matter, kind of made me for a second, like, damn, like, okay, yeah, like I'm finally seeing the residuals of hard work.
Cam, I know Coach Belichick is hesitant to say he's naming a starter, but we're all preparing for you to start on Sunday. But the Patriots actually head into Sunday with no active kickers on the roster. So can you confirm that you might actually be kicking field goals on Sunday as well for the Patriots?
And he can pass. Yeah. Well, if it's asked of me, that was a quote from Friday Night Lights. But yeah, if it's asked of me, man, listen, I just want to be a part. If it's throwing, if it's passing, if it's kicking, if it's punting. And I know I may be a little aggressive, with saying, yeah, I could do it. But listen, I'm a football player that just so happens to play quarterback. And I just want to always remind myself that and remind people that, like, listen, anything that is going to take for us to win football games, I'm all for it.
Also, I heard you mention your dad just a few moments ago, and I had a chance earlier this summer to listen to the Cam Chronicles, the 6-part podcast series about your football life on The Ringer, which was awesome. I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen to all 6 episodes, but what I was most struck by was the relationship with your father and what a significant role he played both in your development as a football player and as a man today, going to Blinn, telling you that it was a business trip. What role does your father still play in your professional life, and did he tell you that this would be a good business trip for you to make your way to Foxborough?
Well, I say it like this. I grew up in a time grow up in a culture and a city where a lot of people don't have the luxury to have a father figure in their life. And my father plays, the fatherly role to a lot of young black men, and for him to be biological father and son, it's just rewarding. And yeah, a man of God like himself to, always be my lead counsel in a lot of different decisions in life. I look forward to hearing his voice of reasoning, and you can bet that he helped me in this decision of coming to New England, and will help me with other decisions in life as well.
Cam, one of the things that you kind of talk about is that your ability to kind of now pave the way for a lot of, young black quarterbacks coming up. And just in this kind of time that we're living as black men in a world that, we seem like we're fighting every day to prove that we need to be as equal as everybody else. What kind of burden do you carry on your shoulders to make sure that you obviously walk in a light that you've been doing so far where, people look at you, especially young black athletes that want to be like you and aspire to say, I want to be like Cam Newton?
Honestly, I don't think it's any pressure at all. And I think this has to be my last question because I have a 7:00 meeting
Sure.
that I got to attend to. But I don't think it's no pressure at all. It's just more or less like holding yourself accountable to every single action that you do make. Because when you do make it, you know that there are people who are vicariously living through you, and those are some people that you may or may not meet. And, you know, I understand that the structure, and I understand that the platform that I do have, and I just want to do right by it and use my influence in a positive way.
And that
Guys, thank you so much for having me, and you know, hopefully we can continue this, and I look forward to it.
Cam, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate it this morning.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
All right,
you.
later.
Thanks, Cam. Good
Patriots
luck.
quarterback, starting quarterback Cam Newton joining us here